Hi, welcome to this podcast for OCR Computing, the F451 A-level specification on data transmission. So what we're going to look at, obviously, as I've just said, is data transmission. We have different types of transmission. The first one we're going to look at is serial transmission. So let's have a little look at what serial transmission is. Well, serial transmission takes place on a single wire and it's one bit at a time that gets transferred. So as we look here, if this was our wire, one bit would be going down at a time. When would we use this? Well, we'd use this when we're sending data, obviously. An example of when we'd use it is a serial mouse. We'd usually use it, justification of use, is when there's relatively small amounts of data. The accuracy of data is important and the speed is not as much of an issue. Okay? The positives are it's reliable, it's simple, and the bits can't get mixed up because they're only going down one at a time, so you couldn't have one of these bits jumping ahead of another one. Negatives of it though is obviously because we're only sending one bit at a time, it is slow compared to parallel. Okay, so the next type of transmission we're going to look at is parallel. Right, so if you have a look at parallel is when we have several wires, and that means several bits at a time can go down the wires. So an example that I can think of, if we just look at this, we've got several wires in it and we've got 3 bits here going down at the same time. An example of use in this case could be, again, we're sending data, it could be a printer. Sometimes you have parallel printers. Those of you who've got a USB printer, then obviously that is not an example. But if you have a parallel printer, an old printer where you've got a wire that has several wires within it, then that's an example. The other ones that are more obvious will be the processor sending to the graphics card, the hard drive sending data to the processor, video streaming, or games console sending data to the processor. Why do we use it? Well, it's faster than serial. The advantages are it's faster than serial. So when we use it when the speed of devices is required, that it sends data fast and it should receive the data quickly. The volume of data is great, and the time sensitivity of data is important. We need the data to arrive quickly. So video streaming is a good one to think about. What we can't have is some bits taking a bit longer and then the video pausing or stopping in the middle of it. So it's time sensitive, we need it there quickly. That's obviously the speed, and also the volume of data there for video streaming is going to be big. Same with games console. The games console, what we don't want is to have things stopping in the middle and there being a lag potentially because of the speed the data is being sent to the processor. Okay, don't confuse that with the lags that occur because of your internet connection. That is something different. The problem though, the negatives we've got with this type of communication is that it's less reliable. The bits can get mixed up. Okay, obviously we're sending different bits at the same time. One of these might go down quicker than one of the others, and therefore the order will be incorrect when it gets to the other end. Alright, so if this wire is sending data quicker than this one, that's not a problem. But if this wire is sending data quicker than this one, and this is the order from top to bottom that they should be being received in, then we're going to have data in an incorrect order. So what do we do about that? Well, you find out a bit later. Okay, right, let's have a look at this. Simplex. Alright, simplex is where data can only travel in one direction. So the data will be traveling down a wire in one direction. One direction. Do a little song for you there, but I'm not going to. So data can only travel down in one direction. An example could be a TV or your radio or teletext. Those of you who remember the old teletext where you could look at maybe the football scores by typing in a number on your machine, and you didn't get a two-way process. It was just delivering information to you. It wasn't allowing you to put other things in. On the TV, that was the old teletext. Have a look on YouTube, I'm sure you could find something about teletext on YouTube. Again, TV is a one-way process and so is radio. So data travels in one direction. Simplex. How do you remember that? Well, Simplex, One Direction as a band are pretty simple. They look simple to me anyway, so maybe that would be a way to remember it. And you see them all the time on TV and radio, so maybe something like that. Right, the next type we're going to look at is duplex, and it should be quite common sense. Simplex is one direction, duplex you're talking of two directions, and duo is another word for two, so two directions. Data travels in both directions. Telephone conversation, you're speaking, someone else can reply and speak back to you. Or Wi-Fi connection, you do something on your computer, data transfers through your router. At the same time though, your router needs to make sure that it's connected to you on the Wi-Fi. If you're connected via Wi-Fi, that is. Wi-Fi connection is a two-way thing. Half duplex, so what do we think this is? Well, it follows on. Again, quite obvious. If duplex was two-way, half duplex is two-way again, but can only do one direction at a time. A CB radio, a two-way radio where you used to have to press a button, and if you ever heard it, you see it on the film sometimes, where someone talks down it, and at the end they say Roger or over to say that they've finished talking, and then the other person can then start speaking because they know that the person they're speaking to has finished talking. So you've got a two-way radio as an example of a half duplex. That is data transmission, what you need to cover for the basic definitions of data transmission. I'll leave that up there for you to have a little look at. You pause this now to cruise over in your own time. I would suggest you go over the past exam questions for this. This mind map will make a lot more sense when you've had a look at those past exam questions, had a go at them, looked at the mark schemes and the answers for those past questions, and then that will help you, and this mind map will be a lot clearer for you then, and that video I've just done will be a lot clearer for you then. Remember, in the exam, depending on the number of marks you get will depend on how much detail you'll need to go. So if you only got a 2-mark question, then you'll only need a couple of points. Unless it's saying about the English, don't waste your time putting lots of information in. Just bullet points the key point and then the expansion afterwards if you need to. Okay, don't waste your time writing sentences and sentences unless it specifically says it's marking your English for this type of question. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and come back for more in the future. Thank you.